The time by Carrie Chris is 6 p.m. Time for CBX Business News. The Business News Headlines is brought to you by CBX Wealth Management, making more possible.
$7 billion in damage, Dominica's billion-dollar build-out, and Google settles with Epic. Good evening and welcome to CBX Business News for Wednesday, November 5, 2025. I'm Rochelle Moncrief. Thanks for joining us. Coming up in the newscast, locally, Hurricane Melissa damage estimated at up to $7 billion. Jamaica's Prime Minister outlines a 4-phase recovery plan. On the regional front, Dominica accelerates its $1 billion infrastructure drive, betting on tourism and energy to power future growth. And over on the global stage, Google and Epic Games reach a landmark U.S. settlement over Android App Store reforms. Stay tuned as we unpack these stories and more right after the break.
Wealth is not simply counted in dollars or cents, but in the time we spend with love, in love, giving love. Wealth is not simply a means to an end. It is the means to live out loud. Wealth is more than money. It's about family, the memories you create, the legacy you leave behind, and your ability to enjoy life in the moment. It's also about seeing the CBX possibilities and seizing investment opportunities to achieve the future you want and deserve. Which is why CBX Wealth will focus on your investments so you can experience more. Because true wealth is truly more. To start investing today, call 876-926-7767.
Introducing the Corporate Services Unit, your go-to experts for corporate secretarial solutions. We offer statutory compliance, efficient minute taking, registered office address services, management of board and members meetings, setup and maintenance of corporate registers. Stay ahead with our proactive approach to new regulations. We operate under the Trust and Corporate Service Provider, licensed to the JCSB Trustee Services Limited. We're here to simplify your corporate journey, no matter the size of your company. Contact the Corporate Service Unit today and let's streamline your compliance journey together, because your success is our business.
The local news is brought to you by Darriman Trading, better from the start. Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean flavors and fragrances, tease the senses, and Pulse Investments.
Welcome back to CBX Business News. We begin with the government of Jamaica's blueprint to rebuild after Hurricane Melissa. In a solemn address to Parliament on Monday, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness unveiled what he described as the most comprehensive national recovery and reconstruction plan in Jamaica's modern history. The plan features a 4-phase approach designed to move the island from survival to renewal.
As we move forward from the initial shock of Hurricane Melissa, the government's response is being guided by a clear, structured, and disciplined framework. We are pursuing recovery through 4 overlapping phases: immediate relief, emergency relief, stabilization, and recovery, and then long-term reconstruction and rebuilding. Each phase carries distinct priorities, but all share a single purpose: protecting the lives and dignity of our people and restoring our nation with greater resilience than before.
Holness says the first two stages are already underway, with the next phase to focus on restoring schools, small businesses, and public facilities.
The next phase will be the stabilization and recovery phase, which focuses on helping families and businesses regain a sense of normalcy and restoring the foundations of daily life. This includes bringing schools back into operation as quickly and as safely as possible. Providing targeted support to small businesses and farmers. Restoring public transportation routes and accelerating the repairs of government buildings and community facilities. Households whose homes are habitable will begin returning from shelters, while those whose properties were destroyed or severely damaged will receive temporary housing assistance and construction support. Utilities will complete permanent repairs, and municipal authorities will operationalize debris removal and rehabilitation programs.
The final stage, he says, will see major capital works to climate-proof infrastructure and strengthen Jamaica's resilience against future storms.
The reconstruction and rebuilding phase will ensure that Jamaica emerges stronger than before. This phase will see major capital works begin to rebuild and climate-proof critical infrastructure, including roads, bridges, water treatment plants, health facilities, and power and telecommunication network. We're going to see those being built out. Housing reconstruction will prioritize stronger building standards, improved drainage, land use guidance, and support for our formal construction systems.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Holness is reporting that preliminary estimates place total physical damage between $6 and $7 billion, representing nearly 1/3 of Jamaica's GDP.
Detailed assessments are still underway, but I wish to share very preliminary high-level estimates only to illustrate the scale of the devastation. Based on benchmarks from comparable regional disasters, physical damage to housing, commercial buildings, roads, electricity, water, and telecommunications infrastructure is estimated between $6 to $7 billion, equivalent to roughly 28 to 32% of last fiscal year's GDP.
Holness warns that the short-term economic fallout could shrink national output by between 8 and 13%.
We anticipate a temporary slowdown in economic activity, particularly in the most affected parishes. Agricultural output will decline in the short term as farmers replant and livestock operations recover. The tourism sector, while resilient and working swiftly to reopen, will require targeted support to restore capacity and confidence. Small and medium-sized enterprises, especially those in retail, manufacturing and services, and the creative industries, have sustained significant losses and will need liquidity and recovery support to rebuild inventories, repair their facilities, and restart operations. At the same time, supply chains for food, construction materials, and consumer goods are being actively restored, though some market disruption may occur in the immediate weeks ahead. A very preliminary estimate suggests that short-term economic output could decline by 8 to 13%.
That was Prime Minister of Jamaica, Dr. Andrew Holness. The National Water Commission, NWC, is accelerating its push to restore water to Western Jamaica, with engineers working around the clock to reconnect major systems torn apart by Hurricane Melissa. Acting Corporate Public Relations Manager Delano Williams told CBX Business News that assessment works are now 85% complete across the worst affected parishes: St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, and Trelawney, where washed-out pipelines and power loss have delayed recovery.
We've basically completed, I would say, maybe 85% of our assessment across those parishes. Where we are still working to is the restoration of the facilities. So for instance, in Black River or in St. Elizabeth, we have now cleared our Luana system that is now operational. It is running on a generator. We've gotten into Black River, but the infrastructural work and the reconnection of power supply is proving to take a little bit longer. Over the next 24 to 48 hours, we expect that we should be able to restart our plant, which is at Dalintoba, that directly supplies the town center of Black River, including critical institutions such as the hospital, the police station, and so on.
Williams says in Westmoreland, 3 key facilities are already producing water for sections of the parish. He, however, noted that access challenges and limited electricity continue to slow the pace of work.
We actually have water running in Westmoreland. So our Logwood plant is serving sections of the western side. So from Mount Airy, that roadway, so from about 15-20 minutes out of Negril into Negril, water supply is being provided by our Logwood system. On the eastern side, the Roaring River facility that the NWC operates is also now operating, and it serves areas such as Roaring River itself, Petersfield and environs. As soon as we have some amount of power generation, whether it's a generator or JPSCO's power supply, we'll be getting water up into the Darliston area. We also have our White Bluefield system, beg your pardon, in operation. And so we have 3 major systems. As I said, what the challenges are for any of these parishes is 1, access to power supply. For even where we do have backup systems, power generation, there is still going to be some reliance for the public power supply to come back on stream.
That was NWC's Acting Corporate Public Relations Manager Delano Williams. The Jamaica Stock Exchange, JSE, is expanding its hurricane relief response by activating its Jamaica Social Exchange platform to help mobilize support from Jamaicans living overseas. JSE CEO Livingston Morrison told CBX Business News that the platform will serve as a bridge for diaspora stakeholders who want to channel donations securely into government-approved recovery initiatives following Hurricane Melissa.
Have already indicated their willingness to contribute to the effort. I'd like to say as well that here at the Stock Exchange we recognize that this is going to be a difficult period for Jamaica and Jamaicans. We have already made contact with our stakeholders in the diaspora, and there is a high level of commitment and support. And we'll be using our Jamaica Social Exchange platform to facilitate contributions by those stakeholders that would find it more efficient for us to help them to mobilize support for distribution through the government established channels.
That was JSE CEO Livingston Morrison. We move to the latest updates from the JSE equities. In Wednesday's trading session, the JSE market activity resulted in the trading of 99 stocks, of which 35 advanced, 47 declined, and 17 traded firm. The winners: 138 Student Living Jamaica, Cargo Handlers, MPC Caribbean Clean Energy, and the Limnas and Bards. The losers: G West Corporation Ordinary Shares, Paramount Trading Jamaica, 138 Student Living Jamaica Variable Preference, and R.A. Williams Distributors. The main index declined by 26.54 points or 0.01% to close at 320,181.94 points. The Junior Market Index declined by 0.09 points to close at 3,390.31 points.
And it's time for Market Education Feature, brought to you by CariCris, Regional Ratings, Global Standard.
In today's Market Education Feature, we're looking at indemnity insurance. Indemnity insurance is a type of policy that reimburses the insured for specific unforeseen losses or damages up to a set limit, usually equal to the actual loss incurred. It's often used by professionals such as doctors, lawyers, and financial advisors to protect against liabilities from errors, negligence, or malpractice. In exchange for regular premiums, the insurer covers expenses such as settlements, legal fees, and court costs. Also known as professional liability insurance, indemnity insurance is designed for those who provide advice for specialized services, offering protection distinct from general liability insurance, which covers bodily injury or property damage.
The Market Education Feature was brought to you by CariCris, Regional Ratings, Global Standards.
And that's it for the local news segment. Please stay with us. The regional news is up next.
The local news is brought to you by Diamond Trading, better from the start. Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean flavors and fragrances, tease the senses, and Pulse Investments.
Back. And now for the regional business news. Dominica's Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit says the island is undergoing one of the most transformative development phases in its history, with the International Airport project, a geothermal power plant, and a series of tourism-linked investments redefining the nation's growth outlook. Addressing the nation during the country's National Day observance on Monday, Prime Minister Skerrit says construction of the long-awaited international airport is advancing rapidly, with runway works and landside facilities progressing weekly.
The International Airport project, one of the most transformative undertakings in our nation's history, is advancing rapidly. Every week brings new milestones. Runway works are progressing, landside facilities are taking shape, and hundreds of Dominicans are employed in this national project. For decades, we dreamed of direct international access. Today, that dream is becoming a reality, a gateway which will connect Dominica directly to the world, open new opportunities for trade, tourism, and investment, and redefine how the world reaches our shores.
Skerritt also noted progress at the Laudat geothermal power plant.
The geothermal power plant in Laudat is nearing completion, representing our bold stewardship, our bold step toward energy independence and sustainability. Once operational, this plant will provide clean, reliable, and affordable electricity to thousands of homes and businesses in Dominica. It will reduce our carbon footprint and make Dominica one of the greatest or the greenest nations on earth.
He says the tourism sector is also showing strong momentum with the new air service agreements with regional and international partners.
Most recently, the launch of new service agreements with international partners, including Qatar, and the start of regional flights by Contour Airlines have strengthened Dominica's accessibility. Our collaboration with Barbados on multi-destination tourism means access to new markets and broader global visibility.
That was Prime Minister of Dominica, Roosevelt Skerritt. Guyana's Vice President, Dr. Bharat Jagdeo, says the People's Progressive Party Civic PPPC government is pressing ahead with its ambitious post-election economic agenda. Speaking after Monday's parliamentary swearing-in ceremony, Jagdeo says this plan is anchored by the rollout of 40,000 new homes, the establishment of a national development bank, and programs to expand access to childcare and small business opportunities.
That is, how are we going to get help for people who want to build homes? How are we going to build 40,000 homes in 5 years? How we're going to ensure that we have daycare centers across the country for mothers who want to work, creating a business opportunity for people there. The development bank has moved forward from concept now to actual working out details of it. It would be implemented next year. We've already announced 200 million would fund that.
On the political front, Jagdeo pushed back against allegations that the government delayed the sitting of Parliament to avoid the swearing-in of Azruddin Mohammed, who faces a U.S. extradition request related to gold smuggling and financial crimes.
We have extradited people for less offenses than Mohammed is charged for, indicted for in the United States of America. So I think they're putting their last bet on, oh, if he's a member of parliament, maybe it will go away. It will not go away. There's no immunity as a member of parliament, even as opposition leader, for this to happen. So that's why I don't want to mar, and they were saying, oh, the PPP delaying the convening of parliament just to get him indicted and sent away, not to have him sworn in.
That was Guyana's Vice President, Dr. Bharat Jagdeo. In other news, Cuba's multi-billion-dollar tourism sector is reporting limited damage from Hurricane Melissa, even as recovery crews intensify efforts to restore infrastructure in the country's eastern provinces. According to the Cuba Tourist Board, CTB, while the storm unleashed strong winds and heavy rainfall across the eastern section of the island's main tourist facilities remained largely unaffected. Initial assessments confirmed that the bulk of the country's hotel and resort infrastructure escaped serious structural damage, a key factor in protecting the island's tourism revenue, which represents nearly 10% of GDP. The CTB says Holguin International Airport reopened to commercial flights on October 30, just days after the hurricane passed, while Santiago de Cuba's airport resumed civil operations on November 1. Tourist operations in Holguin are expected to normalize within a week as repairs to power, telephone, and water networks continue. It's now time for news from the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 20 securities, of which 3 advanced, 7 declined, and 10 traded firm. Today's 3 winners are Republic Financial Holdings, the West Indian Tobacco Company, and Angostura Holdings, while leading the losers are National Enterprises, Trinidad and Tobago NGL, MedCorp Limited, and Trinidad Cement. Trading activity resulted in the following movements. The All-TNT Index advanced by 0.86 points to close at 1,379.68. The Composite Index declined by 1.89 points to close at 952.67. The Cross-Listed Index declined by 0.69 points to close at 69.35. The SME Index declined by 2.10 points or 2.15% to close at 95.60. We take a short break, but please do stay with us. The international news segment.
Mikey, is what sweet you saw?
Yeah, dear babes. Where's the catty? And you go party tonight?
Party? You secure your future yet? Careless.
Did you know that over time, the stock market has provided a reliably high return on investments? Be sure to contact a licensed stockbroker for more information on this exciting investment opportunity.
Taking care of business, Mikey?
Yeah, catty. I securing my future. Want to come look over my stock portfolio?
The Jamaica Stock Exchange, providing a fair, efficient, and transparent stock market.
Welcome back. In international news, Alphabet's Google has reached a sweeping court settlement with Epic Games, the maker of Fortnite, ending a 4-year antitrust battle that accused Google of illegally monopolizing its Android app store. The deal will allow developers to offer alternative payment options and make it easier to install third-party app stores, while Google caps service fees at 9% to 20% for apps using alternative billing. Epic CEO Tim Sweeney called the deal awesome, saying it restores Android's open platform vision. Analysts say the settlement could reshape global app store practices, reducing fees and boosting competition. And while big tech makes room for new competition, global logistics are under pressure following a deadly air cargo accident in the United States. United Parcel Service has shut its World Port air cargo hub in Louisville, Kentucky, after a cargo plane crashed, killing at least 9 people, including 3 crew members. The 5.2 million square foot facility handles millions of packages a day and connects about 360 aircraft movements daily. UPS says the closure will cause network-wide delays, particularly as the year-end shipping season peaks. Analysts warn each day of closure could take several days to recover, though broader air freight markets remain stable. UPS shares rose 0.5% to $93.76, signaling investor confidence in its recovery plan. Turning now to Asia's aviation sector. Another high-profile exit is reshaping the shareholder structure of one of the region's flagship carriers. Qatar Airways has sold its entire 9.57% stake in Cathay Pacific Airways for about US $897 million, marking its full exit from Hong Kong's flagship airline. Cathay will repurchase the shares at Hong Kong $10.84 each, a 4% discount to market value. The sale aligns with Qatar Airways' portfolio optimization strategy, freeing capital after a strong earnings year. Cathay's chair Patrick Healy says the buyback shows confidence in the carrier's Hong Kong $100 billion 7-year investment plan, focused on new aircraft, upgraded cabins, and expanded lounges as the airline rebuilds post-pandemic. And finally, in Europe, attention is turning to the continent's emergency markets, where one of Italy's largest utilities awaits a key decision from Berlin. Italy's state-controlled Snam SPA expects a decision by November 17 from Germany's Economic Ministry on its planned 24.99% acquisition of Open Grid Europe, the country's largest independent gas transmission operator. The 560 million euros transaction has faced delays after regulators requested details about Chinese investors in Snam's shareholder base. CFO Luca Passa says the firm could sell assets or issue a hybrid bond if the deal closes this year. Snam also posted a 9-month EBITDA of 2.23 billion euros, up 6.6%, and raised its full-year profit guidance to 2.95 billion euros, underscoring strong network performance and steady European energy demand. And that's it for the international segment of the newscast. The news recap is coming up on the other side of the
Hi, this is Erica McKenzie, Forbes business coach and trainer. You're watching CBX.